The subject is History of Economic Thought, and the topic is Mercantilism. Mercantilism was the dominant economic theory and practice in Europe from the 16th to the late 18th century. It was not a formal unified theory but a set of policies and practices followed by the nation states. Core ideas and beliefs. Wealth is identical with precious metals. Mercantilists believed that a nation's wealth and power were measured by its stock of precious metals, primarily gold and silver. Goal: a favorable balance of trade. To accumulate gold and silver, a country must maintain a favorable balance of trade, meaning the value of its exports should exceed the value of its imports. The surplus would be settled by an inflow of bullion. State intervention is essential. Mercantilists advocated for a strong central government control over the economy to achieve this favorable balance. The economy was to serve the state's power and political objectives. Zero sum game view of the trade. International trade was seen as a conflict. One country's gain was necessarily another country's loss. There was no concept of mutually beneficial trade. Promotion of domestic industry and population growth. Governments granted monopolies, subsidized exports, and imposed tariffs on imports to protect and develop domestic industries. A large growing population was desired to provide a cheap labor force and soldiers for the army. Key policy measures. Tariffs and quotas, high import duties and restrictions were placed on foreign manufactured goods to protect domestic producers. Export subsidies. Domestic industries were encouraged to produce for export and were often given financial support. Colonialism. Colonies were seen as a vital source of cheap raw materials and as captive markets for the mother country's manufactured goods. Trade between colonies and other nations was forbidden. Navigation Acts laws, like those in England, required that all trade between the mother country and its colonies be carried only on its own ships, boosting the merchant marine and naval power. Historical context and proponents. Mercantilism emerged alongside the rise of the modern nation state, the discovery of the New World, and the influx of gold and silver from the Americas. Key figures include Thomas Mann in England, who wrote England's Treasure by Foreign Trade, and Jean Baptiste Colbert, the finance minister of Louis XVI of France, who aggressively implemented these policies. Colbertism. Criticisms and decline. Mercantilism was heavily criticized by later classical economists, especially Adam Smith in his 1776 book, The Wealth of Nations. Confusion between wealth and money. Smith argued the nation's true wealth lies not in its hoard of gold but in its productive capacity and the goods and services available to its people. Harmful nature of controls. The restrictions on trade reduced the benefits of international specialization and division of labor, making nations poorer. Positive sum game. Classical economists showed that trade could be mutually beneficial for all countries involved. Inefficiency. Protectionist policies sheltered inefficient domestic industry from competition. Legacy. Despite its laws, mercantilism established the importance of a strong national economy and left a legacy of economic nationalism. Its ideas see modern echoes in protectionist policies, arguments for a favorable balance of trade, and strategic policies aimed at building domestic industrial strength. That's it for mercantilism.